So in my last two videos on GTA 5, we looked at Angry White Man with Family of 3 and Filthy Frank when he goes far, far, too far. And as of now, I think those videos are sat around about 100,000 views and the other one has about a million. Yep, I'm fucking lying, man. But oh well, to the 9 consistent viewers who continue to watch my content, congratulations, you have made it to the video on BTEC CJ, aka Franklin. And in this video, I wanted to discuss and analyse why Franklin is the perfect protagonist for GTA 5. Franklin was born in Los Santos and never knew his dad. His mother was addicted to a drug called cocaine and would overdose when Franklin was very young, forcing him to move in with his grandparents. When Franklin was in his young teens, he would become a hustler, and this would start his long life of petty crime. Franklin would start off selling cigarettes, but when he went to Davis High School, he would meet a man called Lamar. Him and Lamar became best friends, and they would go into crime together. It's here, in Franklin's very late teens, where he would become a drug dealer and a full-time gangbanger. In 2008, Franklin would be arrested and placed in prison, and when he got out, he was 20, and by this time, he had decided he was going to try and go legit. And that is where our story of GTA 5 picks up with Franklin. We start off GTA 5's story by seeing Franklin in this new legit business of his. He works for a man called Simeon Atarius, who owns a dealership. Now on the surface, this is legit business. Him and Lamar repossess cars for Simeon, so Simeon can then sell them. But it's not. What they're actually doing is stealing cars. Franklin and Lamar will steal these cars, and then they'll even end up shooting or killing people to get them, showing that this legit business isn't quite as legit as it seems. You see, Franklin wants to make something of his life, and he wants to escape the people around him, who are happy staying in the gang, killing people, selling drugs, and living that life. But Franklin wants to be successful, and he sees the only way of doing that is going legit. You see, the whole first part of GTA's story is actually quite interesting in terms of Franklin, because it is literally about Franklin's desperateness to get out of the crime game. We see Franklin repossess a car, but he had to kill people to get it, and then we see him get frustrated with himself that he's A, had to commit a crime to do his job, and B, he's getting nowhere in the big run of things. He gets made promise by different people that if he stays in the gang, he'll achieve great things, or if he works in the dealership, he'll achieve great things. But in the reality, everyone is just using him, and Franklin's not stupid. In fact, he's one of the more smarter GTA characters, so he knows that people are using him, so he's desperate to get out of the gang life. But things would all change for Franklin when he had to repossess a car from a man named Michael DeSanta. It turned out the owner of this said car was sitting in the back and aimed a gun at Franklin's head, ordering him to crash his own car that he just got stolen off of him by the guy he was supposed to be stealing it from into his boss's workshop slash dealership, in which he then got out the car and beat the shit out of Simeon. Obviously, Franklin is now jobless, and this is where things would certainly change for him. Michael, who is impressed that Franklin followed his orders, says to him as a joke to come have a drink with him one day, and he'll show him how the world really works. So Franklin takes him up on that offer.
Hey! I appreciate a kid who follows orders without taking responsibility. Yeah, maybe one day we'll have a beer, and I'll explain how the world really works.
When Franklin meets with Michael, he soon realises that Michael did not get his lovely house, cars and money from doing legit business, but from serious crime. And it's here where Franklin has a different idea. An idea that still involves crime, but also involves him leaving the gang. When Franklin looks at Michael, he sees a massive house, loads of money, cars, a wife, family, children, but most importantly, Franklin at first sees success and thinks that Michael can teach him a lot. Michael takes Franklin under his wing, and together the two of them start to do small jobs together. In fact, Franklin almost helps out Michael with all of the problems that come up in his life. One such is Michael finds out his wife has been slept with by a tennis coach, so they go to a house that they think is the tennis coach's and rip it off its fucking mantles. It turns out that house wasn't a tennis coach's, but actually an insane mafia boss's. The mafia boss's name was Martin Madrazo and has got Franklin's license and is now threatening Michael. It's clear that Michael needs a lot of money, which he doesn't have, so the two of them, Michael and Franklin, are going to have to pull a score, aka a heist. Michael and Franklin do pull off a heist, and Franklin gets a small taste of the money he can make with Michael. Franklin also sees the opportunity to leave his gang life if he needs to. And it's here why we start to see how incredible and how important it is that Franklin is the core protagonist for GTA 5. You see, we instantly like Franklin because of how desperate he is. You see, the whole first part of GTA 5's story is just showing us Franklin's struggle and want for more. He wants more than to just be a gang member, and he wants more than to just be Lamar's friend. He wants to have a business, he wants to have a family, he wants to have a successful life. And what further makes him a fantastic protagonist is the fact that he is the complete antithesis to Michael. You see, Michael already has everything. He has this big mansion, he has this family, he has this money, and he's made it through crime. Whereas Franklin is wanting to escape crime, but yet he wants that mansion, he wants that family, but he himself does not yet have it. But it's at the midpoint of the game where Franklin would find a new struggle. A struggle for balance. It's at the halfway point where Michael begins doing work for the FIB, so Franklin joins him, and the two begin to make some bigger money, doing more and more heists and bigger scores. It's also at this point in the game where Franklin would meet Trevor, one of Michael's old friends, and this would incredibly highlight how good of a protagonist Franklin is, because Trevor and Franklin's interactions are priceless. Trevor is a man who has been committing heavy crime and is a slightly bit insane, so watching him interact with someone like Franklin, someone who's very chilled back and new to this heavy crime industry, is just hilarious. Not to mention that Trevor actually plays a lot more of an important part in Franklin's story than you would think. You see, Michael is Franklin's traditional sort of father figure in this game in terms of who he looks up to for advice on how to make money, who he looks up to on advice for a job, who he looks up to for advice on work side of things and just general advice, whereas Trevor is more of the realist. It's very important to remember that Michael deep down does see Franklin as an opportunity, and a big opportunity at that. This opportunity is obviously going back to crime, and he can't do this without having Franklin with him as that kind of excuse, kind of mentor role. Whereas Trevor, while he is a bit insane and he is a bit all over the place, at least Franklin knows 100% when Trevor says something to him, he's telling him it for real. Trevor shares life advice with Franklin and tries to put him on as good path as he can, and this creates a very interesting dynamic between the two. Franklin at the half point of GTA 5's story is completely torn. You see, he's making quite a lot of money from either doing bounty work with Lester, to doing more heists with Michael and Trevor, and overall having a good time in that field, but he also is stuck in the gang life doing jobs with Lamar, and they're extremely low pay, high risk jobs, but he doesn't want to lose Lamar. You see, Franklin actually values Lamar's friendship a lot more than you'd think. He's his first ever friend, he's his first real friend, but Lamar is stuck in the gang life. He wants to live a normal, simple gang life, whereas Franklin wants more to life. This further makes Franklin a very, very compelling protagonist because he clearly loves Lamar as a brother, he clearly respects Lamar, and he finds it hard to see himself making all this money, but still see Lamar in this gang life. But yet, Franklin wants more, so he's torn between doing these big jobs with Michael and Trevor, or sticking in this gang life. As the player, this makes us really feel for Franklin, because the more and more jobs he does with Michael and Trevor, the more and more amount of money he makes, which is good for his future. But that means the further and further he pushes people like Tanya, Tanisha, and Lamar away, the people he grew up with, because he's sort of becoming an outsider to the gang life. This makes Franklin an extremely compelling main character, an extremely good one, because it forces him into these two narrows of life. In a way, Franklin is every single character in GTA, but only about 2% of each character. I mean, think about it. He's got the ambition as Michael, getting back into that game, getting the mansion he wants, but he's got the love and the hood love of Lamar. He's got the craziness to pull off the guns and to kill people as Trevor, but he's got the mind of Lester. He's all the characters in one, but yet he's still got his own charm, and this makes us feel for Franklin, because he really is torn between his gang life or his new life. By the end quarter of GTA 5's story, Franklin has done it. He now has his dream house, his mansion, with his very own pool and hot tub. He has fast cars, he has all the wealth he wants, and at any time he wants, he can quit the crime game for good. He's also completely out the gang life, and this is what he wanted a long time ago. Franklin is undeniably successful, but yet it's how he got that success which is really driving him insane. At the start of GTA 5's story, we see Franklin repossessing cars illegally for a corrupt dealership owner. By the end of GTA 5's story, Franklin is still repossessing cars. The only difference is that it's for a much richer person and he's repossessing much nicer cars. Franklin, desperate for something nice to happen in his life, tries to get back with his ex, a woman named Tanisha, but she even rejects him again, even though he has this beautiful house and this amazing amount of money, because she tells him, just because you have all this money in this house doesn't mean you haven't changed. And she's absolutely right. Sure, Franklin has a nice house. Sure, Franklin's out the hood. Sure, Franklin has money, but Franklin got all these things by committing crime, the very thing he said he wanted not to do to be successful, and he, at his core, hasn't changed. Not to mention, Franklin, through working with the FBI and working for these high dealers and these high risk clients, has now just given himself an even bigger target on his back. Franklin, at the start of GTA 5's story, wanted to escape the hood because he thought it would lead to his death. But yet now, he works for a corrupt FIB, corrupt businessmen, and his two best friends, Michael and Trevor, are hell-bent on killing each other. He's in more danger now than he ever was. And this right here, is why Franklin is the perfect protagonist for GTA 5's story. Because he embodies what is wrong with Trevor's life and Michael's. You see, Franklin's hood side of life more reflects Trevor's crazy side of life. The running and gunning and blowing up stuff and being crazy, showing that actually it's tiring and you're always on the run, always afraid of getting shot in the head. Whereas Michael's retired, sad and depressed side of life shows that stabbing everyone in the back only gets you a bullet in the back in terms of mentally. You're mentally stressed because you have all this wealth, but you're scared who will come after you next, and overall, you're just depressed. By the end of GTA 5's story, Franklin is given a choice. A. Kill Michael. B. Kill Trevor. Or C. Try to save them both. For the purpose of this video, we're only going to be focusing on the ending Death Wish, which is where Franklin tries to save Michael and Trevor, because I have a video coming out next month which is going to focus on all three endings collectively and why they work. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on Death Wish. Franklin goes to the smartest person he knows, Lester, and tells him his problem of he has to save Michael and Trevor. Now, I didn't really talk about this very much, but Lester is an incredibly important character in GTA 5's story, and he's even more important to Franklin. You see, Lester helps Franklin get his house because Franklin helps Lester do jobs. Franklin and Lester both share something in common as well, and that's their mind. Franklin and Lester sort of think on the same wavelength, and while there's nothing physically in common with each other, there is a lot mentally. So Franklin goes to Lester for help, and they come up with a plan. Franklin goes to an old factory. However, Michael and Trevor are already there, and they have guns pointed to each other's faces. Franklin at this point in the game is completely fed up with Michael and Trevor's bullshit, so he decides to let them sort out their problems by themselves, in which thankfully they come to their own minds and put their guns away. Once the three men sort out all of the Merryweather/SWAT who invade the factory, they take out each other's problems, and then they all meet up at the end of the game. And it's here, at the end of the game, we truly see why Franklin is the perfect protagonist for GTA 5's story. You see, Franklin is given a choice at the end of the game, and it's been debated for a while why it is Franklin who gets that choice. Why he gets the choice to kill Michael, kill Trevor, or try and save them. And me personally, I think that is because Franklin, by the end of GTA 5's story, is the smartest protagonist out of the three. Franklin is given the choice because Franklin is the only one who has the capability to save himself or his friends. Michael is so out for himself that he wouldn't even think about saving Franklin and Trevor because he's worried about Trevor, well, one would argue terrified about Trevor, and he's completely shitting himself about everything else. And Trevor is so focused on Michael that he could not come up with a plan to save his friends either. So it's Franklin who is the mature one, the smart one, and the good one who does the job. By the end of GTA 5's story, Franklin has taught Michael how to be a better person and that you really can have a ride or die friend, as well as how to forgive. And he has taught Trevor how to have a new and different friend and a new and different relationship, and how to keep his cool better. Franklin, by the end of GTA 5's story, has learned to respect Lamar more, as he helps Franklin in the end. He helps save Trevor and Michael and Franklin, and it's thanks to Lamar that they could take out as many Merryweather and SWAT members that they did. Franklin has learned not to fully get rid of the hood from his life, but embrace the people from it, embrace his brothers like Lamar, and he has also learned not to fully embrace the new rich life, as he sees that there's more to life than just being successful. So now Franklin has strived, and he has truly found the perfect balance. And that is why Franklin is the perfect protagonist for GTA 5's story. If you have enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a like and subscribing. The other two videos of this month have done absolutely terribly. I won't lie, I've been trying to focus on more, just better quality, better scripted, more thought out videos, and they're just not doing well. I'm even, investing money into these videos and they are failing. But nonetheless, if you are the 9, the 20, the 100, the 5, the first, the only viewer to ever see this video, I really do hope you enjoyed it. I really do hope you're doing okay. I really do hope you have a fantastic day and you stay safe and you just do fantastic. This has been Truth. Please do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.